He said he was mad, and he came to the door with the shotgun, and he shot her, you know, and he didn't even know her, you know. She was a beautiful young lady, you know. She had things going for her. Yes, what teenager, which one of us here, have never took a drink and made a mistake as a teenager? We have. I have. But that doesn't cost your life because you make a mistake.
Heartbreaking statements there. The father of murder victim Renisha McBride, and he reacted to the conviction of Theodore Wafer. This was Thursday. A jury found him guilty of second-degree murder and 2 other charges. Just to get you back up to speed on this case, last fall, Wafer fired his shotgun through a screen door at his home, killing the unarmed 19-year-old on the front porch of his Detroit area home. Now, McBride was drunk and had crashed her car about a half-mile away. Now, Wafer said he shot her out of fear. He woke up at 4:30 in the morning, heard someone banging on the doors, and he was fearful, he says, of his life. Nevertheless, he was convicted. HLN legal analyst Joey Jackson here to talk about the case. Joey, good to see you as always. See you, Lynn. Were you surprised at this verdict? You know, we always expected him to use that sort of, this is my castle, this is my protection, the castle doctrine. Sure. Were you surprised?
Lynn, I have to tell you, I was, right? And first of all, look at the dignity of the father making that statement.
Sure,
the family
any father would
was
feel
certainly
that way.
Heartbroken and everything else, but the dignity in which he made it, not having his daughter at all anymore, very sad. But I really was, because this is an instance where a person is in their home, you hear the banging in the middle of the night, and that certainly doesn't excuse his conduct, Lynn, but I thought perhaps, as opposed to excusing it, it would lessen, or what we call in law, mitigate it for the jury, so perhaps that they would convict him on manslaughter, not the second degree. But apparently, Lynn, they didn't buy his story that he was in fear for his life.
Even though they saw the hands of Renisha McBride swollen from pounding so hard, could it have been that it was through a screen door, that the door was locked, and if you're so afraid...
Why open the door? And I think so, Lynn. I think that's what the jury really was hung up on, because when you go to justification, which we know is self-defense, it comes down to, are you in imminent fear for your life? And is that fear reasonable, and is it honest? And I think, Lynn, generally, if a person is in fear, they're not going to go towards the danger. They're going to move away from it. So the instant he opened that door, and then, of course, he lets go around, I think the jury really felt that that was not appropriate, and as a result, convicted him of second-degree murder and all the other charges.
And what the defense may have thought would have been the changing point of this was Wafer himself getting on the stand, testifying in his own defense. I want to play some of that. This is cross-examination by the prosecution. Let's listen to a bit of it. I want to get your take on the other side.
I had a lot of emotions, fear, I was scared, I was panicking.
But the only one that you expressed on your own when you were talking to Lieutenant Sertowski is that you were mad, right? Correct?
Correct. I guess I didn't want to, in front of a police officer, I just didn't want to come across maybe as less of a man.
So I think if I ask you whether or not you thought it was a good idea to testify, you're probably going to say yes. But was it the way he testified, the way he gave his account that may have changed this?
You know what, Lynn, there's a couple of things that go on. First of all, he should have testified, because whenever you have a justification or self-defense case, you want to get that jury into your state of mind. I was in fear. I took an action that was reasonable. And who can do that? The defendant himself. But on cross-examination, that's where you search for the truth. And I think the prosecution, Lynn, was playing up the fact that he was angry about crime. He was angry about what was happening in that neighborhood. And who did he take it out on? Renisha McBride. They were very effective in the cross. And as a result of that, you saw the conviction.
We also saw the defense attack the character of the victim. That's a tricky and slippery slope. We've talked about that before in other cases. As a defense attorney, do you think that that was a mistake?
You know what, Lynn? It's a fine line. And certainly you want to perhaps point to the conduct of the person who's the victim. But once you start besmirching that character, it becomes problematic. This is a 19-year-old girl with a family. Just horrific. It doesn't resonate with the jury when you cross that line. I think it was crossed here. And as a result, the jury did not take too kindly to it.
Let's talk about sentencing real quick. What is this bring?
Well, you know what happens, Lynn? Under the sentencing structure there, he faces life in prison. Now, will a judge give him that? That's another matter. But sentencings are always so difficult because you have the victim impact statements. And that's the family saying, I won't ever have my 19-year-old again because of this man's conduct. So as a result of that, I suspect the judge will go hard, perhaps not life, but he's facing some significant time, Lynn.
We shall see about that. Joey Jackson, it was great to see you. Have a great weekend.
Pleasure and a privilege. And you, Lynn. Thank you.